What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback. And yeah, we're still a couple of weeks away from another American Flat Track round, but there is stuff going on all over the country. We're going to highlight the opening round of the FIM Flat Track Series and touch on a couple of races that took place over this past weekend. So yeah, leading off, a little bit of overshadowing in the conclusion of the round one of the FIM Flat Track Series there in Italy. We're going to kick things off talking about that. Kicking things off over in Italy, round one of the FIM Flat Track Series, and this track was super cool. It kind of reminded me of Daytona short track, but not as rough as Daytona's been the past couple of years, but the surface looked kind of familiar, or similar to Daytona, I should say. And the racing through the heat races and even in the final was incredible. I love these like speedway style tracks that the guys get to race on. There's some things within the FIM rules that are a little unfortunate, which we'll actually get to when we go to the finals. But Sammy Halbert looking to defend that number one plate. He came out 3 for 3 in his heat races and was looking to have a perfect night together. And then I tuned in for the final round of heat races and everything fell apart. So Sammy, you can blame me for your misfortune there, this final two rides. Penalized in his final heat race, had to go to the back row and earned his way up to fourth. Erwin Krajcevic would win that heat race after a pretty fun battle with Gerard Bayo. And so Sammy comes home fourth in that heat race, ends up 1 point ahead of Erwin Krajcevic overall in the heat race totals. So he's the top point earner heading into the grand final. Krajcevic second. And Andrej Svedjic, who put together a really strong set of heat races, he could be a title contender this year. Svedjic put together a really good day overall. Tough luck for our British guys, Tim Need and Jack Bell. They would be unable to make the grand final on the day. Setting up into this final, Halbert, gets the first pick. He talked about it on his Instagram story about that rut there that seemed to be the prime placement. But unfortunately for Sammy, he was deemed to have rolled the start and was sent to the back row. Well, that blew things relatively wide open up front. Great race throughout this event. Like, he had 5 riders all up in the mix. Even Sammy got up to 6th place pretty early. He was on the back of this group. Super fun race between Svedjic and Krajcevic and Kevin Corradetti and Gerard Bayo and Daniele Tonelli. A lot of great racing up front in this. Svedjic had the early lead. Tonelli was making that inside line work, hugging the bottom. Krajcevic up around the outside. They were 3 wide at one point. Svedjic goes from first to third in one lap. Krajcevic gets the lead over Tonelli, and then we've come into complete lap 9. There's a crash between Bayo and Corradetti, and that's where things get unfortunate because the race gets called. Both riders were okay, no weather in the area, but the race was deemed complete. Enough laps were complete to call the race. And I just don't love this ruling. It is what it is. In addition to that, Corradetti was deemed to be at fault. So Gerard Bayo gets his spot back, even though he went down. So Erwin Krajcevic gets declared the winner. Tonelli gets declared second. Behind them, you get Svedjic in third. Bayo gets, again, put back to fourth. Halbert has to settle for fifth. And I just don't love having to call a race when it's not, when you don't have to worry about weather. There's not a safety concern with a rider and a fan. They just, they didn't finish the race. I feel like in this particular instance, we need to have like a green-white checkered situation in place. But that's not what the rules state. The rule stated that there was enough laps complete to call the race complete. So Krajcevic gets declared the winner. And it's just unfortunate because he doesn't actually get to see the checkered flag in this particular instance. And it just kind of overshadowed the whole day of racing, which saw some really exciting battles throughout the entire day of racing there in FIM Flat Track Opener. I'm going to continue to follow this series. Obviously, we're a little biased here stateside, hoping that Sammy can defend that crown, but he's going to have some work to do in the upcoming months as the series continues to progress on. You can watch every broadcast live on FIM Moto TV. So if you want to go back and rewatch this opening round, and you be the judge on decisions that were made and what you would like to see. But definitely check it out. Like I said, we had some really, really exciting racing throughout the day. It's just a real shame that it gets overshadowed in the end by, having to get called early. Again, thankfully, both riders okay. And just an unfortunate situation because it was a scary looking crash. Corradetti gets over the back of Bayo's tire. He goes over on the high side. Bayo lays it down. Sammy just misses him. He's got some GoPro footage up that, or some Insta360 footage up that, he shared. And Sammy does a great job of highlighting his weekend and covering these events, throughout his OnlyFans and his social media pages. A really good ambassador for the sport of flat track here, stateside and overseas. So yeah, Krajicevic's the winner on the weekend, and we move on. Over the weekend, they also had the Lodi Triple Crown. You had the TT on the first day and a couple of days of short tracking to follow it. Day one on the TT course, you got to see Ethan Salmon have a really strong start to his weekend. He won all 3 of his main events, and he would have a really successful weekend going forward. Picked up 2 more wins on the short track there on Saturday, only bested by Jackson Brown in the 250 class. And then on day 3, Colton Schaefer would sort of spoil the party for Salmon. He would pick up 2 wins, ending Salmon's quest for a perfect weekend in the open singles and 450 Triple Crown class. But Salmon still had a solid weekend altogether. He and Colton Schaefer and Jackson Brown are going to be fun to follow here as they continue to progress through the ranks. We've talked about both riders in the past and how impressive they've been when we've gotten to watch them race. So cool to see those guys continue to battle out there in California. In the expert classes, Tony Meyering and Cage Tabman split wins on the first day there at the TT before Cage swept day 2. Cage Tabman, obviously bounced back from his crash there at King City at the Ricky Graham Memorial. Back in business, back picking up victories and building more confidence ahead of his next AFT. Then he's got the win streak going, back-to-back wins, and looking to keep that ball rolling on the American Flat Track circuit. On Sunday, however, it would be James Arnaz who picks up both wins in the expert classes there. So a strong cap to his weekend. Cool to see James get a couple of dubs there at Lodi on Sunday. We mentioned how high we were on Brody Davis when we got to watch him at the Lodi race the night before Chico, when that broadcast was on Fans Choice, and how fast he is at that track. And Brody had a perfect weekend in the 85cc class. I can't say I was surprised there. Kid's wicked fast, and it'll be fun to continue to follow his progression. And just, man, it's a lot of good riders in the 85cc class throughout the country. So there's definitely a lot of hope in the pipeline for the future. Riders continuing to move up the ranks in amateur flat track and hopefully one day contest for those AFT championships. GNHC hooligans were in the house as well. On the first day, it'd be Ronnie Knight getting the victory over Sean Raggio and Jimmy McAllister, but Raggio would not be denied the rest of the weekend when they hit the short track. He would win both of those events on Saturday and Sunday in the hooligan class. Pretty stout field of vintage riders throughout the weekend. Full main events there, and it would see Chad Spurgeon pick up the win on the entire weekend. He puts the weekend sweep there in the vintage class. Dan Cahoon was able to pick up 2 of the 3 wins in the Vet 30 Plus class, and also as far as like quality rider counts, the 60 plus class was pretty packed on the weekend. Jeff Mason would book in the weekend with victories, but on Saturday, Fred Bennett would take one of the victories away from him there on the short track, preventing Jeff from picking up the full weekend sweep in that class. So this a few classes to highlight. They had several other divisions in competition throughout the weekend there at the Triple Crown event. You can check out those results if you go to Lodi Cycle Bull's website. In the results tab, you can see that full breakdown of their results from the AMA Triple Crown event that they had over the weekend. Additionally, Trevor Bruner was the big winner there in Van Wert at the RPM races. And speaking of Trevor Bruner, he's the defending winner of the Dairyland Classic, which will be this weekend. It will be part of Moto America weekend there, and that will be on Friday night. So Trevor looking to become one of only 5 winners to have taken multiple expert class victories. This event gets so much praise throughout the years, and Bert does an incredible job with his stats keeping for flat track racing. It's a website. Dairyland Classic is a website that we rely on a lot for our research when it comes to making these videos and doing previews and recaps for events as well. A huge appreciation to what he does for the sport, and we've just heard so many good things about this event. We got to see some YouTube videos of the race from last year. No live streaming of this event this year, so you got to get up there to Wisconsin. Be part of the weekend if you can. Moto America and Flat Track on the same weekend. Your Friday night Flat Track fix, Saturday and Sunday at the Moto America races. I mean, pretty good deal, I would have to say. So looking forward to seeing what happens there. Looking back to 2000, as far as the winners, Jared Mees has got the most victories in the event's history during that time. 6 wins for Mees, 4 wins from Morgan Mishler. Sean Russell and Kenny Coolbeth also picking up multiple wins at the event. And like we said, Bruner, the defending event winner, will look to be the 5th rider to have won this race multiple times dating back to 2000. Just a lot of top riders always in attendance, full fields, and one of those bucket list events. One of these days, we hope to make it to the Dairyland Classic. They offer shuttles to and from that race and the Moto America facility. So much that they do to make this event not only accessible, but, marketable for fans and racers alike. So we're curious to see how that goes. Scotty Taylor is going to be on the mic, so we'll be looking forward to hearing what he has to say during his recap on Off the Groove, and we'll be followed along with the results all weekend. Yeah, and just nice and quick this week, nothing too spectacular. Like, we just wanted to touch on some of the FIM controversy there. And, we move ahead to Dairyland Classic this weekend, and there's additionally RPM racing going on at the Berry Expo Center in Hastings, Michigan. So you guys can check that out. It is Saturday and Sunday after the race in Wisconsin. So if you're going to be a road dog on the weekend, you can try to hit up all 3. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking us out. Thank you for supporting this channel. Please make sure you're supporting everybody that's making content for Flat Track and trying to build up the sport. It's been really cool getting to hear from Kolby, Carlile, Corey Texter, Scotty Taylor across the podcast platform. We were very fortunate enough to be involved in a couple of those episodes. So yeah, just keep supporting these podcasts, these YouTube channels that are bringing content around the sport. We've got a couple of throwback videos, a couple of old races in the chamber that we'll post here in the coming weeks. Who knows? Maybe we'll put one out later this week too. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this out. I know it's probably not going to be our best video yet, but we wanted to touch on a couple of storylines that took place over the weekend. So thank you guys again for checking us out. If you haven't already, we ask that you please consider subscribing. And thank you so much for the likes, the dislikes, the comments, the shares, just the support of the channel in general. If you want to get a hold of us off of this platform, you can also follow us on Instagram. It's at Flat Track Flashback on Instagram, or send us an email, flattrackflashback@gmail.com. So yeah, that's going to do it for us on this one. And we will catch up with you guys next week, looking back at the Dairyland Classic and looking ahead to the next round of the Progressive American Flat Track Series as Lucas Oil Speedway gets ever closer. Take care, everybody.